How many terms will you give me at least initially? They may collapse later, I don't know, but initially, how many terms will you give? Yes, the first term squared plus 2 times 1 times the square root plus the second term squared. It turns out that I cannot combine my terms, and this is the final answer. Let's solve some radical equations, like 22. On the same page, 648. X equals the square root of x minus 2 plus 2. Let's work on this problem for 1 minute. And then I'd like to look at complex numbers. Okay, what is the first step here? Yes, I have to. I have to isolate the radical. Excellent. Very good. What will be the next step? Exactly. Not term, I didn't say you said that, but I just reminding you, not term by term. That'll be a mistake. Okay. Then the left-hand side is? Very good. Remember, always a binomial squared has 3 terms. Yes. So, and the right-hand side is easy, or easier. Good. What type of equation is this now? Yes. How do I solve a quadratic equation? Yes, I have to set it equal to 0. X squared, then excellent, and then plus. Very good. Since the leading coefficient is 1, if this polynomial is factorable, it should not take a lot of time. So x minus 2 and x minus 3. It appears that the equation has 2 solutions. We have no idea whether they work or not. Why is that? Because we used a principle that is not basic principle. We raised both sides to a power. That is not a safe principle. It works, but it's not safe. So I go back to the original equation and check 3. 3 minus 2 is 1. The square root of 1 is 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. I will say yes to 3. Let's see if we say yes to 2. I have 2 minus 2 is 0. Square root of 0 is 0. 0 plus 2 is 2. 2. I will have to say yes to 2 as well. So it happens that this radical equation has 2 solutions. Let's look at 29. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, so we have 4 plus 3i squared. You need this?
No, it's okay. Thank you.
how many terms will you give me? At least initially, I don't know, maybe they will collapse into less. But how many terms will you give me initially? Yes, so the first term squared, 16 plus 2 times 3 is 6, times 4 is, very good, I plus, excellent, 9i squared. However, I know I have to replace this by, yes, Becky?
Yeah, this is 2. So it's a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So it's a squared. Plus 2b. So 2 times 4 is 8. We times 8. Is that okay?
So we replace I squared by?
Negative 1.
Good. So then I have 16 minus 9 then. But 16 minus 9 will be 7 plus 24i. And that's it. Let's divide two complex numbers. 30. Same page. So 1 plus 4i over 1 minus I. So let's work on this for 1 minute. Any suggestions? Top and bottom? 1 plus I. Very good. The denominator is easy because I'm using the special product, difference of squares, a minus b times a plus b. What do I get? 1 minus I squared. Good. I'll come back to it and replace I squared in a minute. But at the top, I have to distribute. 1 to 1 plus I. 1 plus I plus 4i to 1 plus I. So 4i plus 4i squared. Now I will replace I squared by negative 1. Good. So then what do I get at the top? So this will become negative 4 plus 1, which is negative 3. 4i plus I is 5i. And the denominator is, it cannot be 0. So 1 minus minus, 1 minus minus will be 2 indeed. I have to separate it. So please remember we have to separate it because this is the correct way to present an imaginary number or a complex number. The real part plus the imaginary part. Okay, let's practice a power of I. Give me, I don't see it here in the review, so give me any power of I that you want to work with.
I
25th, very good. Since we only know I squared, we have to split. It's an odd power. So I have to write, oops, I didn't mean that. Sorry about that. I have to write I to the what? I to the 24th times I. I only take 1 out, that's all. And then this has to be replaced by I squared to a power. What power? Because that's all I have. I squared to the 12th power. Now I replace I squared by what it equals to. What does it equal to? -1. So I have -1 raised to the 12th power times I. Now all I have to think is -1 to the 12th power, is it +1 or -1? That's all. It's +1 because the power is even. So then the answer is I. Because it's 1 times I. Okay, let's practice one more. I to a power. And then I like to look at a word problem. Any power. Let's say 35. Still an odd number. So I have to split it how? I to the, exactly, times I. Like before, I have I squared raised to which power for 34? Perfect. I just didn't hear. I'm sorry. So I replace I squared, which is -1 to the 17th power. And the only thing is I have to assess whether -1 to the 17th is 1 or -1. -1. So then the answer will be -I. Okay. Let's look at a graph now and a word problem. On problem 37 on 648, we are given a function v of r. Can anyone name the independent variable here? The independent variable. Can you just name it? R. Can anyone name the dependent variable? V. Perfect. So the function is given as the square root of 2.5 r. Can be used to estimate the maximum safe velocity v in miles per hour. So v is velocity in miles per hour, at which a car can travel if it is driven along a curved road with a radius of curvature r in feet. Radius in feet. Okay. To the nearest whole number, find the maximum safe speed if a cloverleaf exit on an expressway has a radius of curvature of 300 feet. So find maximum safe velocity for a curvature with a radius of 300 feet. What will I have to do? I will have to find exactly v of 300, which is the square root of 2.5 times 300. Of course, I will put in the graphing calculator. So I clear, and I have the square root. Here it is. I'm old-fashioned. I don't trust anything. So I have to put parentheses everywhere. Even if the software doesn't need it, I don't care. So what does this represent, and what is the measurement unit? 27.39. It says to the nearest whole number. Okay, so I'm going to say approximately 27. What? What is the measurement unit? Without measurement unit, please make yourselves a note. You must write measurement units. So what is the measurement unit for this? Of course. Okay, let's look at the graph now. We're asked to graph g of x, which is problem 32 on page 648. And I want to go back to chapter 9 after this one. So we're asked to graph this function. Okay. We reviewed 9.4, but I still would like to go back to 9.2 and 9.3 a little bit. Okay, so I'm asked to graph this function. What is the first thing I have to determine? Absolutely, I have to find the domain. Without the domain, I don't know what to do. So domain first, always. What do I have to write? Solve in order to find the domain. Say it again. Then I'll be in trouble. Exactly. Remember? So the quantity under the even root has to be positive or 0. The answer has to be positive or 0. Good. Excellent. So then I have x greater or equal to -2. So then I know the domain of this function is very good. So now I can start. And I have to show the domain in the chart. Only the domain, nothing else. Perfect. Okay, so what now? Then I will pick so all the information is in this handout. Please make sure you redo everything from the handout because you have everything is summarized here. Everything. So don't forget about this. Secondly, I just want to refresh your memory one more time. Test 2, this is the schedule of assignments at the end of your syllabus. Test 2 covers these 3 sections from chapter 9 and all sections from chapter 10. Okay? And you also have that here. Okay? So unit 2 consists of 3 sections in chapter 9 and the rest of the sections from chapter 10. And then unit 3 will start after the test, which is next Tuesday with these. Okay? We will review using that handout chapter 6 and then we'll look at chapter 11. This will be a shorter unit. It's the shortest of all 4. Okay, good. I didn't want to forget that. Okay, ready? So now you're going to give me some x values, right? Something that makes sense and it's easy to 2 and 1 more. Good, excellent. So please plug in 2 and tell me the answer. Zero. Plug in 2, 2 and plug in 7. Very good, that's good enough. Here's my graph and I will ask you about the range. Here's -2, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3. We know this graph. We've seen it before. So this is square root of x plus 2 or y equals or f of x, whatever you want to write. And I will also ask you about the range of this graph. And bless you. And we know the range, right? If there is nothing in front, no negative signs or nothing connected to the radical, the inside greater than or equal to 0, the outside greater than or equal to 0. So what would be the range of this function? Yes. 0 to infinity. Okay, let's go back now to chapter 9. I'd like to go back. Again, remember those highlights? I think they're awesome. It's a summary of what we covered. Okay. I would like to look at more equations with absolute value and inequalities with absolute value, because we looked at the system for 2. Okay, ready? On page 582, pages 5 82, 5, 83. Okay. Okay, let's look at 12. 3x minus 2 in absolute value plus 6 equals 10. We may have solved this problem, but it doesn't matter. So, what do I do? Yes, I will definitely subtract 6 because I have to clean it up first. 3x minus 2 equals 4. And then, what do I have to write? I'm checking to see if the first video uploaded or not. Okay, it did. Good. Yes. Good. So now what are the options?
3x minus 2 equals negative 4, or 3x minus 2 equals 4.
Excellent. 3x minus 2 equals negative 4. 3x minus 2 equals 4. So I add 2, and I have 3x equals negative 2, which means x equals negative 2/3. I add 2 here, 3x equals 6, so x equals 2. These are the solutions. You either circle them like I did, or you write solution, set, you put the negative, you put them in order, negative 2/3, comma 2, whichever method you prefer. I'm fine with both. Okay, let's look at another problem like 20. I will come back because I like to look at the absolute value equation with two absolute values. 6 plus 4x in absolute value greater than or equal to 10. Let's think about this for 30 seconds. And that reminds me of my attendance. Good. Okay, so what do we do with this? What are the options here? So it's the absolute value, it's an inequality, so the options are this or this. Which one is it? Exactly, it's this. So what do I write? 6 plus 4x. Excellent. And the other one? Exactly. You cannot include anything between negative 10 and 10. Excellent. So then I will have to subtract 6 first. So 4x greater than or equal to 4. And then I will have to divide both sides by 4. So I'm done with the first one. Then I have 4x less than or equal to, I subtract 6, negative 16. Divide by 4, x less than or equal to negative 4. And I'm done with the second one. Now what? Solution set. X in the interval. I have to start with this one from left to right. Negative infinity, negative 4 with a bracket. Union 1 to infinity. Perfect. Let's go back to two absolute value equations with two absolute values. Let's say 18. X minus 3 in absolute value equals x plus 5 in absolute value. Let's think about this for a second. And when you're ready, tell me what the options are here. What options are available? Option 1 and option 2. Option 1 is excellent, in parentheses. Very good, because we have to distribute it. What about the solutions for the first one? I subtract x from both sides, and I'm telling you that negative 3 equals 5. Is that acceptable? No. So no solution comes from the first option. Then I have x minus 3 equals negative x minus 5. I add x to both sides. I get 2x. And I move 3 to the other side, and I get negative 2. I add 3 to both sides, and I add x to both sides. So therefore, x equals negative 1. As we know, as we see here, this is the only solution. How many possibilities can we have when we solve an absolute value equation of this type? 4 possibilities. 1 solution, 2 solutions, no solutions, infinitely many. So expect anything. Good. Let's look at 24. 6x minus 5 less than or equal to 5. Absolute value of 6x minus 5 less than or equal to 5. Let's work on this for a minute. I don't know what else after this. I don't know what else to review with you, but I would like you to say, I would like to see that kind of problem or this kind of problem, because we reviewed absolutely everything. So I'll do any problem you want. I don't know what else to pick. Can anyone give us the first step of the translation of this? Careful. So careful. There are 2 options here, possibilities. This or this. But if it's this, you have to write it in a chain. Do not separate them. You will forget to intersect. I don't recommend that. So, which one is it? Is it this or this? This. So how do I write it? I recommend this. I've seen students who separate this one as well, but then at the end they forget to intersect. And there is no need to do that, because this is much easier if you write it as a chain. Much easier. Okay, so if that's the case, then what will I have to do next to solve for x? All 3 sides, indeed. So I have 0 here, I have 6x here, and I have 10 here. I'm adding 5 to all 3 sides. Then, final step, divide all 3 sides by 6. I get 0 here, I get x here, and 10 divided by 6 simplified by 2 is 5/3. And that would be the final answer. I don't have to intersect. Since I solve them together, the intersection is right in front of me. X in which interval? I'm just looking at it. 0, 5/3. Yes, Daniel, you want to say something? Go ahead. Depends on, we have to look at it and think. So remember what we said. How do I read this? I'm looking for numbers whose distance from 0 is less than 5. Less than 5. Less than 5. This one, it says, find these numbers whose distance is more than 10. More than 10. Less than 5. So depending on where the absolute value is. So the absolute value less than or equal to 10. The absolute value less than or equal to 5. Good. Now, I want you to pick. I don't know what else to pick. Name something and we'll look at it. So I highly recommend redo the handout. Review the handout. Review everything we've done in class. I don't know what else you want me to. We can go back to radical equations. We can go back to complex numbers. We can go back to simplifying radical expressions, whatever you want. Are we going to be okay on this test? Yes? Becky? Say yes, please. Your test is waiting for you in the testing center. Do not go there after 5. I shouldn't say that. I should say please be there by 5 because they close at 8. Okay? Can you make it by 5 on Thursday? Okay. Now, if you're here tomorrow, you can even take it tomorrow if you want to. It's up to you. I'm sorry? Okay. So Thursday, please get to the testing center by 5. Okay? Okay. I'll stop here if you don't have anything, or if you have something, I'll work individually with any of you or whatever you want me to do. So let me know.